Okay. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so I'm gonna just play the video and see if I can talk over what I did yesterday. And hopefully this works. And hopefully it starts playing. Okay, so we're looking at a really blurry page, but we're looking at putting the circle anywhere on a coordinate plane, not just at the center. So HK is going to be listed as the center. If you remember from quadratics, oh dear. Okay, if you remember from quadratics, that was where we had the vertex of the quadratic. So H and K are kind of important in dealing with equations. But HK is going to be listed as my circle. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so and then XY is some point that is on the circle. So step one is to construct the radius like we did for the other ones. So there's my radius. And then creating that right triangle, going from HK straight to the right, and then from XY down, making the right angle. Fixing it, okay. So we're gonna find the coordinates for the point where the legs meet. So I started at HK. Well, let's just go to XY. It's down below that and then straight to the right of HK. So it's going to have a Y value of K, because going straight to the right, it doesn't move up or down. It just goes to the right, and it has the same y value as K. And then it's directly underneath XY, so it's going to have the same X coordinate as X. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. There's the X. Okay, still talking about it. Still talking about it. Fixing the K. Okay, so that point where the coordinates meet is X comma K. So then number two, we're going to write an expression for the distance between the point XY, which is on the circle, and that point from number one. So it only changes in the vertical direction, because that XY on the circle has a Y value of Y, and then the one below it has a Y value of K. So I just need to subtract those. We always do the big one minus the small one. So we're going to do Y minus K for that distance. Whenever you write it down. So it's going to be Y minus K. Units. All right. And then we're going to look for the distance between HK, which is the center of the circle, and that point X comma K. So that only changed in the X direction. So it moved to the right. The larger X number is X. The smaller X number is H. So I'm just going to subtract those whenever I'm ready to subtract those. So the bigger one again is X minus the smaller one H. So that is going to be X minus H units. All right, so then we're going to write the equation for the radius squared. So you can still use the Pythagorean theorem. I just don't know specific numbers, and it's a little bit messy or a little bit bigger with the X minus H to the right and Y minus K going up, but I can still use it to find the length of the radius with the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to square the entire thing, so parentheses are needed. So there's my A squared plus B squared. Oh, look, I even labeled them. And that's going to equal my C squared, which is the radius. So this is the big deal. This is the equation of a circle that has a center anywhere. The center is HK, and then it has a radius of R, R being some number that's already been squared. And we call that the general form of a circle. And it has a center at HK and a radius. Okay, so it's being subtracted in the equation, but when I use it as the center, I don't take the negative sign with it. So I need to ignore the negative sign for the x coordinate and the y coordinate for the center. And then I need to square root the radius to get, or the r squared to get the radius. All right, and I've got some examples to do to find the center and the radius. Of the circle. All right, first example is x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. So I want to find the center and the radius. They already have the subtraction signs in them. So the center, I just take the x part out of the x parenthesis and the y part out of the y parenthesis. They're already being subtracted, so I just pop them out and I leave the negatives where they are. So the center is 2, 3. So the minus is part of the equation that goes with it. Close the parenthesis, come on. There you go. All right, and then my radius, I have the r squared value as 16, so my radius is going to be the square root of 16, which is 4. Second equation. We have x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 25. So for my center, I don't have that subtraction sign like I do in the equation, so I can put in my own negative sign. So x minus something will give me x plus 3, so I need it to be a negative 3. So I can see that the x coordinate of the center is a negative 3. You don't have to do that every time, just change the sign. If you have an x plus, then you're going to have a negative value. If you have an x minus, you're going to have a positive value. So whatever's in the parenthesis, you're going to change the sign to be part of the center. And then I just use a 1 for the y coordinate. And then my radius is the square root of 25, which is 5. All right, and then my third example, we have x minus 6 squared plus y squared equals 100. So the center, coming from the x parenthesis, we use 6. From the y, there's nothing being subtracted from the y before it is squared. So what number do we subtract that represents nothing? The number 0. And then my radius is the square root of 100, which would be 10. All right, and then I go back and I graph that first example on a coordinate plane. So some tips to help you with graphing. So like start with the center. So there's my center, 2, 3. My radius being 4, the easiest way to do that is to go to the right 4 units, back to the center, to the left 4 units, back to the center, up 4 units, back to the center, and then down 4 units, and put 4 points. And go up 4 units. All right. Another trick, I'm right-handed, but if I go to the left, okay, so if I go to the right, then it tends to look like a rhombus. It doesn't look so round. But if I go to the left, I can make a better square. It's not perfect, but it's better. So if you're right-handed, go left to make a circle. If you're left-handed, go right to make a circle. All right, so I hope that this works. And if you have questions, please let me know. And yeah, thanks for your patience.